the chat so John can know like we're gonna start. I'm gonna share my screen. Maybe we should also like discuss. Usually I push to GitHub super late the pull request for John to update the site. So I'm gonna share it. Let me share my screen. My screen is a bit messy, so if you do not mind. Zoom, can you disappear, please?
Yeah, I can see that. Could you also share the link to?
Yeah, I'm gonna share some links. So this is like this is on my computer, as you can see, file users, Olivier Leroy, blah blah blah. It's a rendered book of our notes. The first part is really generated by John, by the R4 Data Science Online communities, and I have worked from like the chapter 1, the preface, and the chapter 2. You can find if you go here, you'll find, and I will share the link in the chat. Here, the book club or GitHub repo. If can you disappear also here? This is like a classic structures of the GitHub. It's deployed here, and it's automatically deployed, so you do not have to care too much about it. As you see, like I have submitted a pull request here, so it's gonna like when John like validate the pull request. Oh, see, he corrected some, and I will have to change it. So when I go review like the correction of John, we can correct all of my typo. Awesome. So we can like we can submit it, and then it will be deployed on this link. So we can all have the same. Question with that? So how does it work for people who are new to book club? Usually we review 1 chapter from the book per week. We can split. I have seen some chapters like of this book that are, I think, could be split in 2 weeks, and some maybe can go a bit faster, like we can decide a bit before. It's good if everyone like presents something. I agree, like this is the best way to learn the material. Also related to this book, I think it's very great to do the exercise. I will try to do them, and I have in my pull request here, I have created here, I'm adding an exercise folders where I will add the exercise by chapters. So when I get time to do them, I will do them and just put them here. I do not want them to be published with the R Markdown, so because like I think it's easier if people try to make them instead of just like grabbing them in internet. But like this is just my point of view. Zoom, can you disappear, please?
Your Zoom takes your vocal instructions. Zoom, can you disappear, please? You're on mute.
Dang, he disappeared now. Is it good?
Yeah.
Okay, so I hope we have a volunteer for next week, but if not, I will manage it. Okay, I have already introduced that. Like I will go like with chapter 1, but I will also cover a bit the preface of the book here. Yeah, I think what's important is what this book is about, and maybe what this book is not about. We will see rapidly that R can be run in what we call interactive mode, batch mode, and what the author calls semi-interactive. We will also play a lot with numeric vectors, how to create them, import, and work with them. The author defined the numeric vector are one of the basic data type. We'll see a bit that later. No, quickly. with the preface, like no need to spend a lot of time into that. R is a language and an environment. I will not go too much into the language and the history of the language. You can refer to the book. What's important is also an environment, because with R, you have already inside the base R graphic capabilities. You have also an help system, an interface that helps you compiling already compiled code, and a package system typo, plus package repository, CRAN or CRAN. That's allow you to import code from other people in a structured way, and a lively community. So I think this is very important. And sometimes, like, why it's sometimes people say, I agree, like sometimes people say, like for example, Python. Python is not a difficult language, but it's a difficult environment because it covers a lot of stuff. And is also like could be like more tricky as a language, but as an environment that I feel is way more well, it's smaller, it have like and it's also maybe more friendly. It's one of the big difference I feel. The authors, what the author does not like. It does not like the way R is taught in a state course, which is basically involve a lot of meta programming with Wiz and stuff like that. And it does not like the tidyverse. I disagree with that, but that's fine. Can all agree to disagree. He advocates for an approach that could help us solving every data intense problem and acquire skill relevant to other language. So one of his critique of the tidyverse is like a lot of time it's just wrapping on base function, and that limit the capacity of the users. I think you can all learn what you want and apply everything, but yeah, that's maybe like I don't think it's I'm not thinking it's important to go into this rabbit hole of tidyverse or not. I think if you learn tidyverse is great. I think if you learn base R, it's great, and I don't see why you should be a bit bitchy with other people. Anyway, move on that. I will still say like the structure of the book, well, I have that here. It's follow more a data type approach than a workflow approach. If you follow, like, for example, like R for data science, it's close to following a data project workflow, which is interesting, like, because it provides you a way to structure your own project, but it's not like a more traditional computer science way of learning with data type and how do we represent object in a computer language. So this is what we are going to do. Oh, something in the chat. Oh, I have to jump off today in 30 minutes. Okay, let's see what we can do in 30 minutes. So, and the book is basically divided by the basic type, and we will see like they're divided by the atomic one, which is like the logical, the numeric, and the character. I don't think it's too much going into that. Then one basic type, which is not atomic, which is a function. Then you have the list that can contain multiple atomic type. And then you have compound type that's like some mix between the previous type. And then the book cover at the end advanced material, which cover like every kind of thing like that's meta programming that you usually do sometimes very quickly in a stat course, where you learn like how do we use that with a call, from example, like using the formula syntaxes. Do everyone know like this formula syntaxes? Like it's when in R you work something like yeah, I have an R session. Let's see, do we have car here? Probably. When you do like something like well, the LM speed tilde where's my tilde here? Dist, and I think something with data equal car. Oops, here. So here, like it's very like so you use the formula syntax. It uses a lot of meta programming, so it works, and it's kind of complicated if you are new. So we'll see that at the end of the book. We'll see like environments, which the scoping rules, how do we store and access objects into R, and at the end, how we can interface already compiled code. Okay, well, that's not so. Question with that? Where can I go? I will put you so I see maybe some question.
No questions for me.
Okay, we good. So R can be run in an interactive mode. So let's do that. I mean, I will exit here. No, it's not exit. So let's run like a very basic R. So this look like that. I apologize for my crappy looking terminal, just like the best one out of the my Mac I could get. So here it's in interactive. If I do 1, 3, I mean, if I do 1, let's see, combine 1, 2, 3, it do 1, 2, 3, etc., etc. We can also like use cat, which is like basically print stuff. Print. I need to print stuff. I will jump as like hello. Here we are. I need printed. I need take into account like my and I should like also add one. So it's a bit more friendly. That's it. So we can run stuff inside of an R interactive session. Obviously, it's easier to use like RStudio, VS Code or Codium, or an IDE or Emac or Vim, something a bit more friendly like this. For example, like Evan, it's Q, and it's probably M. For example, even if you like you're running into console, I definitely encourage you to use Radeon, which is nice, a bit nicer. But yeah, as I say, like, let's go here. I have a bit slightly different prompts. See inside in base R, I will Q. I should R. See, this is the prompts, and if I do cat Bob, I have like the little plus that's telling like we need more. I'm waiting for more instruction. Then I'm gonna close my and close my function. You can also use escape and Control C if you're ready. But what's interesting is you can use batch mode, which is basically calling scripts and there are various options. So let me create also. I should learn how to say no on the function. And let's say like if I do man R script, it works. No, man for R script. Do I spell it correctly? This should be a manual. Script. Man R. Let's see. No. Well, I don't know. You should have one somewhere. So you can basically run R with a certain option. The most famous one is like you want to run R in vanilla mode. So let's build a quick file into that where I am in my space. So let's touch echo. I will do that echo. Let's try that. Echo cats. Hello and world and into tests that are is it correct probably, and then I can R script test that are. Oh, I have made an error somewhere. Can someone spot it?
Do you need parentheses inside the cat?
I don't think so. I know what the error is. I need hello is not an object, it's a string.
Oh yeah, that I said parentheses.
Yeah, that's fine. No worry. Then we run it. And then I should let's why I see. Yeah. This is like bashware stuff. I mean, not bashware stuff. Here should work. Here we are, it works. Obviously, you want to do more complicated stuff than that, but it's very practical if like you have a very well-defined script and you want to run it like frequently. It also allows you to automate stuff and test stuff. So should we do a demo? I've done one. You can also use it in a semi-interactive way, which is either using JupyterLab, R Markdown, or org-mod. Just both are using like chunk of codes and run the chunk into a session where you can specify the session. Question with that? Or is it like one of the exercise asked you like to run let's go terminal can I have access cd exercise cd chapter 1. I think this is like the cats exercise 1, 2, sorry. One of these exercises I get us like to do like a smaller markdown, and you can print it, and then later you can parameterize it. Because here we are just using no arguments, but you could use also arguments into an R script and pass it to your function. We'll probably see that later. Okay, let's go back to our stuff. Okay, so if no question, then we can move for our first data type, which is numeric vector. I will go a lot into like this small, let's use the basic one, into a terminal, because a lot of it can be done like inside of it. Most of it's one-liners, so we can type it, experiment with it, and see what we have. And I can fail in front of a small public, which is always important because we fail all the time. So learning objective here, mostly create numeric vectors, read them with scan, should have been naming them with like an assignment, use like vectorized mathematical function, and why like R is very different than other language, because like it uses everything is vectorized, and we'll spend a lot of time on that. And if we have time, we can look at the exercise, hopefully. So numerical constants, like unlike other program, R does not have a scalar. So everything is a vectors, even like this minus pi is like a vector of length of 1. R also support like numerical, I never know, like annotation. They were like, so it's just an exponential 10 with 3. R also have a support, I mean, any non-available value, and you can specify the type of any value. For example, if I ask the type of NRL, it's a double type, and if I go like any well, it is score maybe, it's just NA, but if I do type of, so type of is a function that returns the type, it's a characters. While if I do real. It's a double, so it's a shortcut basically, like, but I'm curious if I have not specified anything what you will return by default. Logical. No, we have more here. So vectors. Well, you can combine multiple how do we call that, numerical constants or scalar by the concatenate function, as we can see here. I didn't know that, so I put it like the ... is called an ellipsis. So computer science people, so something in the chat, got a jump off. Okay, great. So so the dot are called ellipses. So you can put any number of argument inside of it, which is different for the rep function, which let's see, I can go like C 1 2 3 4 5 6, for example, and it does something, and I can put every like number of it. Let's, if I do the same with rep, see, it started to block at some. Why? Because like we're gonna go, but rep 1 was identified to some arguments. This 2 is have been passed to another kind of argument, and 3 also, and 4, 5, and 6 have been discarded silently, which is very problematic. But let's do like help. Does not matter if you quote, but still better. If we search for rep, so rep, it's taking X and it passes some argument from further argument are passed from other method. So it came from other method, and it's time, length out, and each, and they can be discarded in one sense. So here, what I've basically write, should have opened like another, was like it was repeat 1 times 2 and with a length out of 3, so it repeats it 3 times. So it was like very bad. Yeah. The R allows positional matching, which here's an example. So we are gonna repeat 1 2 3 4 times, which I see here, because R identifying that 4 is a change for time. So it's basically like the same, like exactly the same. You can specify also, it's smart enough. Can I? Yeah, you can put keyword arguments, can be given in any given orders. I will not recommend that. I will recommend that you follow the order of the argument just for your own brain, but that's fine. You can mix positional and keywords. Also, I do not recommend it, but it's still working. So R is very like, it's not like very hard on allowing stuff. And yeah, you should avoid partial matching. What's partial matching is like rep. Let's say 2. Can I increase the size of the show? Where is it?
I can see it okay.
Oh, you see okay? Okay. Rep 2, and if I do, let's see if it works. Die 3. Yeah, I should have put 3. Will have been more interesting. So tie is interpreted as time. But this is something like you should avoid, because not everyone is using the same like shortcut. It's make code unreadable, and it can also like sometimes mess up arguments. So you should focus on either like keywords arguments or positional one. Okay, we can do our arithmetic progression using either sec for sequence and semicolon. So sequence from 1 to 15 by jump of 2 will provide a vector from 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, etc. Nothing hard on that. You can also like just keep from here, because if you check I encourage like spending a lot of time into the man page. It's a skill because like sometimes like I heard an advisor a long time ago who was saying like sometimes you understand the help page when you have understand your problem, but it's still like does not mean like you shouldn't try to read it, because at some point you will get better at reading them. So you
Sure,
definitely
I spend a lot of time reading some of the like plot related help pages. Yesterday when I was going through the chapters, and it definitely took a while for it to sink in.
Yeah, it's definitely a skill to learn, but it's a useful skill because you can access very quickly the help. It's very high quality content, even if sometimes it's not the most user-friendly content. Like I think like in some C library, they have this option on some manual page to toggle beginner, not beginners. And sometimes I would like this option for the manual, like, you know, you pick the beginners and then it speaks in more like friendly tone, and not unlike you are some computer science with.
Right.
So by default, you have sequence sec as like default value. So that's why like when I skip here, I specify the 2 arguments is, you know, like the default argument from is 1. So it starts generating by 1, which is not something that I will recommend too much, but I like being very explicit because we're all stupid sometimes.
I would say most of the time.
Yeah. Also, the length out argument can be used. I will not going into that. Just specify the length out you want, and then you apply a small formula to know what's happened, which is well written in the book. Obviously, you have the semicolon option. That's do 1 from 10. It's just an incrementation, just an increment by 1. You can also start negative. Oh no, where it moved. I click on something that I shouldn't have. I was here. You can also like going into like from negative to more negative. We're gonna see that letters, but this is obviously different than this because of the precedence of the operators, or like the language decide stuff. We can also like so as we see it's different. We can also generate pseudo random numbers. Most of the one I use like when I'm bored and I need to generate quickly stuff is the one from uniform. Here is R is for random, generate me some uniform distribution. By default, it have default arguments that's for uniform is mean and max. And from normal R norm, it's the mean and the standard deviation. We could have changed that, for example. Let's say R norm. Generate me like 23 stuff with a mean of 150 and standard deviation of let's go back 15, something that should generate me like some height of people.
You have typo. In the R norm, you need to flip the
R.
R.
Yeah. R norm. So this is why you should use like some an IDE. Here, generate some weird weight. I don't know if my guessing of weight was correct. That's it. So it's a very convenient way to generate data, fake data to test stuff. Yeah, we are gonna in a few minutes we are gonna see like more of this distribution, the normal and the uniform distribution. So for example, in Python, you will have to use NumPy. I think it's in NumPy to use them. But in R, it's provided in the base version. You have also the sample, which does not have S. And so you can like sample into like a given vectors. Like here, I sample between 1 and 10, 5 times, and replace equal true. But you can also be false if you want to like draw, if you have draw a ball into the bucket and does not want the ball to be put back into the bucket. I can do an example here. You can also like, I think this is letters. Let me try. Yeah, we can sample letters. And let's say I'm on 7. By the way, replace true is the default. So let's see, replace false. Blah, 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 blah. I want 7. And then I have random letters. So it's very convenient to quickly generate some stuff and you want to try. And yeah, I just use, but is it like some data set also, I think? No, I don't remember the name of this data set, maybe. Because I came from with some already data sets, and I think there's one in the US also, a table. I don't remember it exactly. I encourage you to read. I don't know why I tapped this in. Oh yeah, this is tricky. So, and this is worth mentioning. So if we do sample 10, let's see, sample 10 and 5, it will basically assume that what we are doing is sample from 1 to 10, which is kind of not clear, but because I guess there's very few cases where you want to sample 10 x time, which if you all the time get sample 10, but yeah, it's some things that can be tricky. You can set a seed, so the random number generators will start at some places. I use 42. Other people use 1, 2, 3. I mean, sometimes they use 1, 2, 3. But it makes like stuff a bit more reproducible. Okay. You can read data with scan, and scan is like the basic function that all the read CSV, read Excel use. And here, like, it's an example. So here, like, I store the CSV provided. Let's go here. Let's go into the terminal where I am. Chapter 1. So if still want to go. Data here, if I do head data, I think it's just this one. We have like the same like stuff that the book produce. We see like the first line are commented line, and there is no rule. Like sometimes it will be like a percentages or some stuff. So you can definitely use scan very quickly to read it. So it just like scan. Here the author used a dictionary trick to make the code more readable, style-like. So it passed like a very long string into a pass function to make it more readable. I think it's a good trick. And then you can use like the comment.car arguments to specify like every line that starts with that will be commented, or it will be like skip it because there are comments, and you read the whole file as a vector, which is numeric. The NA are just like the I think it starts the 1st of January. It's holiday, and then this was like the first was probably like Wednesday, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, then it's the weekend, then we etc., and then you produce like the change. You can also so you can read directly from an URL. You can read from a path in your computers. So some more question. Do you know what des, sep, what, and an asterisk does?
I did when I looked it up during my read through, but I don't remember.
We can. So I'm kind of like stupid. So usually I need to test them. So this is like, even if you do not know, like it's good to test them. So I will go here into the, I will make more room so it's more usable. And I have one here. Get working directory. I guess I'm on the correct place. So I will cheat a bit and scan. Let's go. Scan data. So this is very nice. Why am buccal deepl? I think, yeah. Anyway, this one, and let's see if I do this equal this one. Oh, it does not like. I need to comment car, which is still here. So here is in trouble because like he wants this, expect a real, and it got like something that's looked like a characters. If I do that, it will be good. Why? Because I specified that this is a character. This is not a character. This is the decimal. So for example, French, as I know, we put decimal as comma and not as dots, as the American do. So you can, and I'm sure we are not the only one do that. So when you have like decimal, you should specify the kind of decimal you can have, and you can have multiple way of encoding decimal. If you have like, let's go back to here. So this was decimal separators. Currently, we have a comma separated file, and the default of the comma separated file is having the value as a comma. So when I was like putting, where is it? Here, when I was putting decimal comma, it did not understand because like I have like a huge string of identify, like if we check the file, the head, do we have it? No, here. It's not supposed to be separated by no, it's smart enough. Anyway, it's not like some CSV are separated by comma. Others are separated by tabulation. Others are separated by semicolon. So the sep argument is like why separate every value and every field of and usually it's yeah, it can be tabulate, it can be comma, and it can be semicolon. I have not seen others. Oh, see, yes, you have like this weird pipe also sometimes for very. What is what it kind of data it is. So we can do it very quickly here. Go back to here. This one would be more fun, I guess. What? And you need to know like the data type, but character. See, you read everything as a character. And you can pass multiple one. Like if you have like a, like this is, for example, like if you read CSV or read something, or even like the tidy version of it, which I don't remember, it's called class. It's an argument that you will specify every, so when you read something, you can specify the data type. It's very convenient, for example, if you work in the US and you are working with county data. County data, for example, in Alabama will be something like that. And if you type that, and if you identify it as an integer, it will, which is not an integer, it's a character. You are losing the 0 here. So if you specify like this, for example, it's totally different. And this is the way you want it.
Right.
So it's a nice trick. Anyway, let's go back. And a string is like, sometimes people put minus 990 for none, so you can specify that. Okay, creating name objects. Well, you can assign, memorize an object with the assignment operators. You can also use the equal. Name arcane sensitive. Bob lowercase is different than Bob uppercase. Dot is legal, but not followed by numbers. Some words are reserved, so you should not use them. You should follow a naming convention. Use camel case, whatever you want, but as long as you follow project guidelines. It's good to follow this little logic, like vector should be X, Y, Z, matrix should be capitalized, indexes, but if you came from Python, you probably use the same logic. ITK, and object size, like the length of the vector should be N, etc., etc. One tip that I found very useful that I always forget: if you when you assign something, it's by default it does not print it, but if you bracket it, it will remove the default of removing the print after. Nothing to complicate. Vectorized mathematical function. Let's take an hex with a length of n. That's basically like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for example. If you use apps for absolute is vectorized, that means that it's every element of x that will be passed to apps, and not you do not need to, I mean, you do not need to iterate on them for it work. You don't, like you should in like per Python. So that's what it does. It's gonna return the absolute of every element and return NA when it can't. I will not go too big into round, floor, etc., because they are all like the same logic. Once the same for log and exponential. You should keep in mind that the base log is an exponential one. If you want the like log 100 expressing that, you have like either this one that should produce 2, yeah, and you can also do this one, base, I think 10 is produce the correct one. So by default it's exponential. Okay, any question or remark by that? It's pretty like, I mean, simple if you have like the habit of it. R came loaded with like a lot of probability distribution. I have now trouble remember DPQR. So I'm always checking. I have no trouble with R. I always like have trouble between P and Q. So you have like a continuous distribution, which is like, let's say when you want to modelize a continuous distribution, like the height. And you have also discrete one, which is like, for example, the binomial one, like which will be like the case of a coin flip or a dice, and Poisson, which like if you want to count some events. I will not go like the this for the density function, and Q, P and Q are widely like the Q is a quantile, and I guess you can think of it as one is the inverse of the other, so that's maybe P, but I never are good enough to remember it. And obviously we have a density for a continuous one, and while you have just a count, so a mass of objects for a discrete one. If like yeah, I don't know if how big I need to go into that, but that's it. So everything is here. When you use one, you should check what kind of arguments, I mean, how do they name the parameters? Because sometimes it's a bit different of what, let's say, like, for example, people in pure machine learning use. For example, people in pure machine learning use the precision, while statisticians tend to use, I think the precision is the inverse of the variance, if I'm correct, but I could be wrong. So some of it could be like have been implemented differently. And that's also the case, like, for example, if you use what's the name of this Bayesian framework? I think Stan is very close to this, but JIPs use like also some other, like the parameter of the distribution are not exactly the same, just to bother everyone. Arithmetic operation. So here are the classic operators. No need to go too much into it. They are vectorized. I like this example a lot because it makes it very explicit. It's multiply element wise. This is a very pedantic way of writing that. They are equivalents. But why I have using it is because like letters, like plus, etc., are called operators, but in R they are basically function. So you can pass them multiple arguments. Here I passed one argument and two argument. And these two arguments are what they call operands. This was not defined in the book, but this is like the computer science way of doing it. So here we have one operand, another operand, and this is the operators. And it's vectorized, so 0 to 7 have been divided by 3. We can also, like, we do not, so they are recycled. This is the rule. So this was like the recycling rule. When a length of an operand is different than another one, it's recycling until it reaches it, even if they are like if they cannot be recycled until T, and it still produces you a warning. So let's say like if I do 110 multiplied by 8 it's not the same length. It will 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and it's done. See, like the 100 like should be like it multiplied by everything, but like we are not empty like the 100 here. It should be like if we had 9, it would be 900, but we don't, which is fairly tricky. Most of the time, to be fair, it's only used for vector scalar operation. Here, like assigning to a column the same value or multiplying by just like divided by 3, for example. But it can be used for other stuff. In the same way of thinking, the min and p max have the similar behavior. Here, if I ask the minimum from between 2 and 1 to 5, it will be the minimum. It will be 1, 2, then equality for 3, 3, and 3. And p max were the same. I kind of go fast. Then we are operator of precedence. Unlike the author, I prefer to go from the highest to the lowest precedence. So I will start with every exponential, then the minus and plus unary. Do you see why is it called unary? It's not necessarily too clear, so let's go here. So that's why like this pedantic way of writing it, it's good because you can write that. It's a valid stuff. It's 1. It's 1. And if I do with sorry, it will be 0. Because like the first one is a unary, just minus the operand. And the second one will be like one operand, operator, the other one, which is not necessarily sense. One is unary, work on one argument, the other is binary, need 2 arguments or more. That's it. I recommend doing the exercise. So they are nice and not that hard. Usually we read from left to right as we're reading, except for the exponential, where it makes more sense to start seeing what's in the exponential than starting to see what's inside what was exponential. And for the assignment value, in Doopt, and I highly recommend it, use bracket because it makes the code more readable. Accumulating. Well, you can also want to have like the cumulative sum on the cumulative product of the cumulative of what you want. All of them are available. For example, the cumulative sum of 1 to 8. the cumulative minimum of this function will be like 3, then it become 2, then it's still 2, then it's still 2, then it's still become 1, then it's still 1, and then it becomes 0. And it return it as vectors. Diff is a super interesting function that return like a difference, super useful for plenty of stuff. But I will not go into too much. Obviously, a lot of time you do not want to return a vectors, like you can just want the last one. For example, you can be very also pedantic and what can sum the 1 to 8. I want the 8 one, which is basically, but like, let's be fair. This is better now.
Right.
And you can have also the product, the minimum, etc., etc. You have the mean, the var, and the standard deviation, the variance, that are very handy, not any. And the variance is defined by the unbiased variance, which is like the length minus 1, the classic one. And that's it. I went very fast.
That was
Do you
helpful.
have question?
I don't have any questions right now on the content. I noticed that you're recording the meeting. Where will that be?
Yeah, the recording are will be YouTube for data science. And here you have all the previous book club.
Awesome.
And plenty of stuff.
Great.
That's it. If you have question, do you have like some quick question on the exercise? Do you want me to look at them quickly? I have trouble with.
Unfortunately, I have to hop to a work meeting in a minute, but I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward. Again, I won't be back next week, but I'll be in the subsequent weeks. And I'm excited about it.
Well, awesome. Well, see you. Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.
I will have to end the meeting. Chats.